Rebluing Damascus or twist steel barrels was a lost art for many years, but let me show you one way to do it today. Originally, the barrels would have looked like the ones on this Parker P-grade hammerless gun. Although some of the finish is worn, the contrast in the twist pattern is still quite visible. It's easy to see the difference between twist and Damascus patterns. Earlier, we polished these barrels to 320 grit. Nearly all evidence of the pattern is gone, but with just a little work, it will pop right back out. I'll need a few supplies for this process: gloves, acetone, hangers, rust bluing solution, ferric chloride acid, and cotton pads. I'm using old cleaning rods through the bores to suspend the barrels. Acetone is used to thoroughly degrease the barrels. Absolutely all traces of oil and grease must be removed or they will not blue properly. Bare hands can't come into contact with the barrels once they've been degreased, so rubber gloves are used. This is Pilkington's rust bluing solution. It's best to have the solution in a separate container so the entire bottle doesn't get contaminated. The solution must be applied very sparingly. I squeeze the pad almost dry, as any runs will show up as streaks. Long strokes, the full length of each barrel, is the right approach. It's important not to rub. After coating the barrels, I'll hang them in a damp box. A piece of wire through the extractor hole makes them easy to hang. The damp box provides the heat and humidity necessary to cause the barrels to rust quickly. It's a simple shop-made cabinet with a light bulb at the bottom for heat, and a pan of water provides the humidity. Once the barrels have been in the box for about an hour, I'll give them another coat of bluing solution, turning the pad after each stroke, and place them back in the damp box. The barrels will hang until they develop a nice coat of red rust. If I let them rust too long, they will develop deep pits and ruin the finish. Since I want the finished barrels to have a black and white pattern, I'll boil them in a tank of distilled water for about 10 minutes. The boiling water converts the red rust to a black color. After removing the barrels from the water, they are covered with a fine black soot. This is simply the loose rust and needs to be carted off after the barrels have cooled to room temperature. I'll do this with a degreased stainless steel wire wheel, 6 inches in diameter, with 3/1000 inch bristles and turning at 800 RPMs. For the next step, I'll plug the bores with rubber stoppers. The barrels are immersed for just a few seconds in an etching bath of diluted ferric chloride acid. I'm using a 15% solution. Once they're removed from the ferric chloride, they must be rinsed quickly and wet carded with degreased 4/0 steel wool. Rubber gloves are a must to prevent touching the barrels and to protect my skin from the acid. The ferric chloride is a mild acid and loosens the oxide on the harder steel portions of the twist, but not the softer iron. This allows the oxide to be carted off with the steel wool. After drying them with a heat gun, I don't have a visible contrast between the iron and the steel, so I'll dunk them again for about 10 seconds in the solution. This is what I'm looking for. It looks like I've taken off all the finish, but actually the pattern is just starting to show. The process of rusting, boiling, carding, and etching is repeated several times. After 10 cycles, the barrels look like this. We diluted the bluing solution for the last few. By the last pass, it's 1 part bluing solution and 8 parts distilled water. These barrels took 14 cycles to get to this color. The contrast still isn't as visible as I'd like. A final polish with rotten stone will remove the haze from the steel portions of the barrel. Rotten stone is sprinkled on a damp rag and the barrel is polished using very light strokes. Now the contrast is really starting to show. Once the bluing process is complete, I'll polish the lump, breech, and muzzles to match the original factory appearance. Masking tape will protect the barrels as I use bluing remover to remove the majority of the finish. The rest of the finish is polished off with abrasive paper, being careful not to remove too much metal. After the barrels cure for 24 hours, they can be waxed or lacquered to enhance the pattern and provide protection for the finish. I'm using clear lacquer as it's traditional and really makes the pattern stand out. Wow, isn't it beautiful?